Have you ever worked so hard, day after day, pushing your body to its limits, only to feel like the world is quietly moving past you? You wake up early, stay up late, sacrifice weekends, skip meals, and yet the progress never matches the pain. If that sounds familiar, let me tell you the story of Marco, a man who worked harder than anyone and was still falling behind. Marco ran a small auto repair shop in an old part of town. The kind of place that smelled like grease, steel, and engine oil. The kind of place where every repair was done manually. No scanners, no software, just muscle memory and mechanical instinct. He opened that shop 20 years ago, when vehicles were simpler and fixing them was all about feel and finesse. He believed in hard work, the kind that stained your hands and bent your back. He didn't have a website. He didn't take online appointments. He didn't use modern diagnostic tools. He prided himself on being old school. And for years, that was enough. Marco worked 12-hour days, 7 days a week. He missed holidays. He skipped meals. His toolbox was worn, but it never left his side. He believed if he just kept grinding, the results would come. But slowly, they didn't. Customers started drifting away. Not because he wasn't skilled, but because they wanted more than effort. They wanted efficiency. They wanted convenience. They wanted results, fast. And across town, 2 young mechanics opened a modern auto service center. Sleek, bright, and digital. Appointments online. Diagnostics with a click. Real-time service tracking. A waiting area with free coffee and clean restrooms. Marco scoffed. They let machines do the thinking, he'd say. But every time he drove by, their parking lot was full. His, almost always empty. Still, he refused to change. He just worked longer hours, took more jobs for less money, told himself it was just a slow season. Until one day, his body said otherwise. It was a scorching July afternoon. Marco was underneath an SUV, replacing a transmission by himself. He hadn't eaten. He hadn't rested. He stood up too fast, lightheaded, and everything went black. He woke up in a hospital bed, hooked to machines instead of cars. The doctor didn't sugarcoat it. Marco, your body is shutting down. Years of overwork, poor rest, dehydration. You keep this up, and it won't be your business that breaks. It'll be you. Marco looked at his hands, scarred, trembling, exhausted, and whispered, "Why? I worked harder than anyone. Why am I still losing?" A few days later, a familiar face walked in. It was Leo, a customer from years back. Marco had repaired his first car when he was just out of college. Now, Leo ran a logistics company with a fleet of service vehicles. He smiled gently and said, "Marco, you taught me to respect the machine, but somewhere along the line, you stopped respecting yourself." Marco looked away. "I never stopped working hard." Leo nodded. "And that's the problem. You kept working the same way, even when the road changed beneath you." Later that week, Leo invited Marco to visit his auto fleet service center. It was clean, quiet, efficient. Techs walked around with tablets. Vehicles were diagnosed with software in seconds. Preventive maintenance was scheduled automatically. The entire place ran like a well-oiled machine, because it was one. Marco stood in silence. Leo turned to him and said, "It's not about working less. It's about making every hour create more. You gave me precision. I added process. Now the work works for me. And for the first time in decades, Marco didn't feel offended by technology. He felt curious. When he returned home, Marco didn't rush back to the garage. He sat down with a notebook and a coffee and said to himself, "Let's fix this, not just the cars, but the way I work." He cleaned up the shop. He created a basic online booking page. He bought a second-hand OBD2 scanner for car diagnostics. He learned. He upgraded. He adapted. He trained a local team to help with basic tasks. He stopped taking every job and focused on the ones that paid best and matched his strengths. He took breaks. He drank water. He even started stretching in the mornings. 3 months later, Marco's business was back. Not just busy, but sustainable. Not just active, but strategic. And the biggest change? He finally had time to live. Dinner with his wife. Weekend mornings with his grandkids. Peace of mind. When someone asked him, "You still working hard like always?" Marco smiled and said, "I still work hard, but I finally sharpened the tools, and I stopped pretending that struggle equals success." So if you're out there, grinding your heart out but getting nowhere, ask yourself, are you fixing cars or are you just breaking yourself? Are you using your tools or are you stuck using only your effort? Hard work is noble, but without a smarter system, it becomes slow suicide. Take a step back. Upgrade something small. Ask better questions. Build something that runs even when you rest. Because the goal isn't to suffer your way to success. It's to design a life where your work actually works. Thanks for watching Ethan Spire Stories. If this story made you pause, reflect, or breathe a little deeper, leave a comment. What's one small system or habit you can upgrade this week? And remember, your body isn't a machine to be worn down. Your mind is a tool to be sharpened. Use both wisely.